This is the UKMT Junior Maths Challenge. It's a nice little paper, and it was just a couple of days ago. Good, let's get straight into it. This is 4, this is 4, this is 0, this is 1, and this is 4. 2 squared times 2. 2 squared is 2 times 2. There are 1, 2, and 3 different answers there. 10 litres is not an aeroplane. A cup is like much less, I presume. So is an egg. Dustpans are quite small. I'm going to go with bucket. I don't really know how you're supposed to explain that question anymore. 36 is a square number. The next is 49, which is 13 above this. So 13 above 2024 is 2037. A drink is made by mixing 1 part to 4 parts, so ratio 1 to 4. That means that this part is 1/5, total of 5 parts, and 1/5 is 20%. When you're doing these questions, BIDMAS is wrong, right? BIDMAS should really be BI, and then D and M sort of come together, and you just work left to right. And then, of course, A and S also go together on the same level, and you work left to right. So here, you don't prioritize this. You say there's a multiplication and division here. We're going to work left to right. So 3 times 4 comes first, and then we can do the division, which is like 2.4. And now again, addition and subtraction work on the same level. So we just go left to right. 1 plus 2 is 3, and then we take that away for 0.6. Just test the answers here. This is remainder 3, 1 divided by 4, but remainder 1, 1 divided by 3. And then we go all the way to the end. If you're doing trial and error, start on the right. This ends up being the answer, because of course remainder 1 with both, because 24 is a multiple of both. Here, just draw in some extra lines and see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles out of 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4 is 16. 6 out of 16 triangles are shaded, which makes 3/8, and that'll be our answer. Number 8, Sky has half as many as Isha, so that means the ratio from Sky to Isha is 1 to 2. And Anna has twice as many as Sky, so the ratio there is also 1 to 2, just the 2 goes with Anna. This means Sky has 1 part both times, so we can just very quickly combine these ratios to be 1 to 2 to 2, because she's got half as many as both of the other people. 5 parts in total, she has 1 of them, so that's 1/5. UPT is this angle here. In a hexagon, the interior is 120. I would recommend just knowing those angles when you go into a junior math challenge to save yourself some time. This is an isosceles triangle up here because it's a regular hexagon, so all the sides are the same. So 180 minus 120 is 60, divided by 2 is 30 for each of these base angles. Here we've got humans we'll call A, horses we'll call B. There are 25 heads, which means the number of humans plus the number of horses is 25, unless any of them have 2 heads, which is unlikely. Humans have 2 legs, horses have 4, so 2 lots of A plus 4 lots of B is 60. If we double this first equation, it looks like this. And now the difference between these two equations is 10 and 2 B's, right? Everything else will cancel out. You've got 2 B's different here, 10 different here. And so therefore 2B is 10, which means B is 5. And because there are 25 in total, that means A is 20. And that means 15. If you're not too sure about simultaneous equations, it comes up a couple of times. I would recommend, if you are in year 8 or even year 7, having a read through some methods for those, because they come up a lot. And there are more kind of reasoning ways of getting around this, but just busting out some algebra and sorting out is the best way of doing these. So look up simultaneous equations if you can. For this question here, we can simply take this length and move it up here. It must be parallel to this one because that's 6 degrees, and so is that, because they're all equilateral triangles. So take that and move it up there, makes a straight line. Take this one, move it over there, makes a straight line, and now we're just looking at a diamond shape. And we know that the side length of this is 10, so it's 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, which is 40, and that would be our answer. For 12, I genuinely don't know how to do multiplication if you put the biggest number on bottom, so I did it like this. And then you just test the answers. If you put in zeros, obviously doesn't work, all ends in zeros. If you put in 1, it works for a bit longer, but it still doesn't work. Remember the magic 0, so you cross out that. Again, if you're trying the results, go from the right to the left, because it's most likely they put the right one at the end to waste your time. When you do this, it does indeed work, and so the answer is 6. For 13, this is an isosceles triangle because of these 2 dashes, so that there is x. This signature here, these double lines mean that these 2 lengths are the same, which means this is also x. And then we can do a little bit of algebra here. This is a triangle, and it's isosceles, so 180 degrees minus x divided by 2 is each of these angles. So 180 minus x over 2 like this is this one here. And now, of course, looking at the entire triangle, we have x plus x plus x plus this thing here makes 180, because those are the 3 angles, essentially. This angle is 2x, right? But I can just say x plus x makes the 3 angles in the triangle. If we just put those together, then maybe double everything. Remember, when you double everything, to double everything. If you're going to times the entire equation by 2, put those together, take away 180, and that makes 36, I believe. This took an embarrassingly long time for me to figure out, but 32 divided by 8 makes 4, and then when you plus the 1, you make 5. That was a good couple of minutes of my life wasted trying to figure that out. Anyway, H comes after the division sign. And here, SQT is S to Q to T is this angle here. This is a rhombus, so these angles are co-interior here, so 110 plus 70 makes 180. We can then say that this is an isosceles triangle because it says so in the question. So 70 plus 70 is 140, makes this up here 40. And now this is a rhombus again, so this line splits this angle into 2. So this is 55 and 55. Sorry, there's also a 70 up here, which I think is relevant. 70 up here because it's corresponding to this 70. Anyway, split this 110 into 2 equal pieces. And now look at this triangle up here. It looks a bit like this. 70 plus 55 is 125. So we have 40, 125, and the unknown angle we wanted. Add those up to make 165, and we've got 15 missing from 180 for our answer. We know 1000 millimeters are an ohm-meter, so if we times this by 100, we get 770 millimeters. So we need a bit more than 100, but we certainly don't need double that because that would be well over a meter, so it must be 130. Some really interesting theory in question 17, which is that if you do this to a square, wherever you pick the middle point to be, these two triangles and these two triangles add up to make the same thing. So if the whole area is 100, these two triangles add up to make 50. Which means this one, if this one's 24, then this one must be 26. If you want to prove it, you can bust out some algebra. Otherwise, you can just say, well, if this is 10, this height must be 4.8 because 10 times 4.8 times a half, remember, for a triangle is 24. This distance is also 10 because it's a square. 10 squared is 100, like I said. So therefore, this distance is 5.2. And then you just do 10 times a half times 5.2, which, like I said, was 26. For 18, we've got 3 equal size porridges. So 1 porridge, 2 porridge, 3 porridge, each a third. They've eaten 3/7 of the total amount. So what we need to do is 3/7 take away 1/3 to find this little bit here, which is this. So that's this little bit here. And then we've done this amount of the second bowl. We've done 2 out of 21 of a third. So we just do 2 over 21 over a third, which if you don't know how these double fractions stack, this goes there and this 3 goes up there to make 6 over 21, which cancels down to 2/7, I believe. Good. Jokers always lie, clowns always tell the truth. You always get a question like this in Junior Maths Challenge. What you need to do is just pick the first person to be one of them. I'm just going to pick them to be a truther and just run through it and just see what happens. So if P is telling the truth, Q is always lying, but that means, of course, Q is lying because P is telling the truth. If Q is lying, that means R is telling the truth because Q is lying about them. So R is a truther, which is consistent because P is telling the truth. That's what we've said. S is saying exactly 2 of the other people are jokers. Jokers are the liars. But of course, only one of them is. Only one of them's lying right now. So that means S is a liar. We've got 2 truthers, 2 liars, which means we've got 2 clowns. And even if you start at the top and pick P to be a liar, what will happen is you'll end up with 2 of 2 of each. You can do it yourself. But also you know that because there's no option that says more information needed. So the answer, if you can find one thing that says the answer is 2, that means all of the consistent ways of doing it must also be 2. For this, we just need to draw some lines. So let's draw a cut like this. We make 2 quadrilaterals, so that goes away. Draw a cut like this, maybe, and we make a triangle up here. No, we don't. This was meant to go through this corner and through this corner. Amazing. If it did go through there, we would make a triangle up here, and we would make a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided shape down there. So apologies for putting that line in an awful place, but it should be directly through there. I hope you can kind of imagine that. That goes with these 2 options. And then if you put the line there, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-sided shape, which is that. Therefore, octagon is the one you can't do. Good. For 21, this is one of those ones where I'm just going to make some stuff up. So let's just pretend that the side of this white square is 12. The reason I chose 12 is because there's lots of subdivisions, and 12 is a nice number that goes into both 4 and into 3. So I know I'm not going to have to mess around with any fractions anymore. So 12, 12, that means, of course, if these are all squares, then it's 3, 3, 3, 3, and of course 3 on this side as well. That makes this whole thing 15 divided by 3 is 5. So therefore, these squares are 5 by 5s. And now the shaded area is 5 times 5 times 3, which is 75, and the non-shaded area is 12 plus 5, which is 17, times 12 plus 3 is 15. I couldn't even be bothered to work that out because all I need to say is what the fraction shaded over unshaded is, so it's just 75 over this. No matter how you cancel this down, the 17 is prime. It's not going anywhere, so the only applicable answer is the one that has a denominator of 17, which turns out to be right if you do it properly. 40, if we call furries A and fit B and friendly C, 40A equals 50B. You can divide by 10 to make it easier. We have 45 B's, those are the B's, equals 54 C's. Divide by 9, and that makes it easier. 5b matches here, so that means 4a must equal 6c. Divide by 2 to get this. And we want to know how many 50 furry was a, so let's get this to 50 times by 25 times this by 25, 75 of those, which is D. For 23, area of a square, draw a square, label it x and x. That means the area is x squared. A rectangle now half the length, so that means half x here, and width x minus 6. Now there's geometric ways of doing this, but just busting out algebra. Just get really good at algebra. That's my, just get good at algebra. That's my top tip. We know that this times this is a half x times x minus 6, so you get out some brackets. Expand that out if you want to. However, what it says is the area of this square is 6 times the rectangle. So that means this is equal to 6 times this. 6 times a half is 3, and now I'm going to expand out. Take away x on both sides, add 18 to x to both sides, divide everything by 2, and now either 9 times 9 equals 9 times 9, or 9 times 0 equals 0 times 0. But a side of x, it's not really a square if it's side 0 by 0, is it? So the answer must be 9 times 9 equals 9 times 9, so x is 9. And the perimeter is 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, which is 36. For question 24, you just really need to spot that there are the draws column is the most important bit here, right? City drew here, Wanderers drew here, United drew twice, which means United must have drew City and they must have drew the Wanderers. That's really important because when you look at the goal difference of the United, their goal difference is 3. In the 2 draws they played 2 draws, 1 loss. In the 2 draws they played, their goal difference must be equal, right? Draws are like 0-0 or 1-1 or 2-2. Their goal difference must be equal for the 2 draws, which means the 3 difference in goals must come from their singular loss. So they must have lost by 3 goals. The only way for them to lose by 3 goals is this one here of 3-0. For 25, we have 1/5. I'm going to do some algebra here. I'm also going to make up some numbers. So a bit of a mix of my favorite things. We have, let's just call L the number of left-handed, R the number of right-handed. Let's just make up that there are 30 pupils in the school. 30 because it just goes into these numbers quite nicely, so that's okay. It actually doesn't go into a quarter, not going to end up mattering. Always choose the number divided by 3. I did it in the previous bit as well. It just always generally goes well. 30 pupils total. We're going to say L plus R is 30, obviously, because you're either left or right-handed in this scenario. We have 6 blue eyes, because a fifth have blue eyes, so a fifth of 30 is 6. I'm going to call BL the left-handed blue-eyed people, and BR the right-handed blue-eyed people. We must know here BL plus BR equals 6. And we can say from here, 1/4 of R equals BR, equals the number of right-handed blue-eyed people, is 1/4 of the right-handers, and 1/10 of the left-handers is the blue-eyed left-handed people. But we know if we add these two things together, we'll get BL plus BR, which is 6. And then if we times everything by 4 here, we'll get this. But of course, we know L plus R is 30, so this plus R is 24 means the difference is 6, which means 6/10 of L, the difference between those two things, must just equal 6. Times by 10, divide by 6, and you get L is 10, which is 1/3 of the pupils in total. Again, simultaneous equations coming up here. Just look them up if you're not too sure about them, because it turns out they're very useful for Junior Maths Challenge. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.